Hey Tay, what are we doing?
Morning. It's a great day here on the Gritty Homestead. We have a dozer that just showed up. We're breaking ground on our shipping container barn, or shipping container shop, I guess I should say. This pad site's going to be about 75 by 100. The shipping container barn itself is going to consist of 8 shipping containers, which will be 80 by 56 wide. With concrete pad and metal roof and all that. We're working on that right now. I'm going to also have this dozer do several other projects out here on the homestead that my little skid loader's just not big enough to handle. We're going to move these containers all around. We're going to also be adding onto the house. We're going to be moving this container, shifting it over, bringing it up against the house, and doubling the size of some of our rooms, and just kind of growing things around here. We're going to get some of our roads leveled out. I'm going to have a road cut going back to the back of the property across the creek so we can get back to the back stock pond, which hopefully my dozer man's going to have time to clean up today. And
so what are some of our tasks today?
So today I'm going to be just helping out, working the chains, dragging the shipping containers around, and directing the dozer guy. And
we're going to need to take out the windows.
Yep, going to have to take out these windows before we move this shipping container in place. Tear out a couple of these stumps that were left over from when we initially cleared the pad site, and kind of just go from there.
Okay, so one thing to kind of take into consideration. So our rooms in our house, they're about 8 by 12, and then one of the little rooms is actually, I think, an 8 by 8. And so that will actually give us a much larger room and closets and things like that. We're discovering a lack of storage, and even though the priority was to have the living area and the kitchen as our main space, we are finding the rooms still a little bit claustrophobic anyway.
Yeah, so we'll be cutting out these walls and doubling the sizes of our rooms with this last container.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so we just had the stumps ripped out of the front here. The dozer man's got some containers getting moved around. He's going to start working on the pad side out there, and we'll go from there.
What are you doing next?
I'm going to start taking out these windows to be ready to butt this container up against it. Taking out the window here on the side of the shipping container house where the containers are going to butt up. I used Great Stuff foam and RTV silicone that I got at a great price to seal these in, and they're really sealed in pretty good. So just continue along. We got one taken out, and I just covered it up with a big industrial trash can bag for now. The reason why I'm taking these windows out is because this container is going to butt up against it, and I don't want to break them whenever we move this container up against it. And then we have intentions of cutting this whole wall out. Of course, I'll support it with steel, and more to come. So 5th container's now in place, butted up against the other containers. This was what used to be the front of the house. So now this container's right up against it. I haven't gone along, it's just sitting on blocks right now. So what I need to do next is go along and pull the edges together. So I'll pull these together on both sides with a come along and a chain on each corner. So I'll put a come along to there and like to there, and then pull this edge together, weld it, get it leveled out as well before I weld it with I'll put a jack up underneath here, and I can move it up and down a little bit to make sure it's nice and even, and then get it all welded. And then we're gonna start working on cutting this out. I'll get this all blocked all along this front edge, and then get it supported with some 2 3/8 inch pipe that I'll auger down into the ground and concrete in. And then we'll cut out, this is going to get kind of cut out right along in here to make kind of a front porch area, and then we'll have some windows along the front on these rooms that we're going to make quite a bit bigger. So it's been a few weeks since the dozer guy was out here and moved these containers around. I haven't really had much time to work on it since, but we've got 4 containers in place right now. These are 40-foot high cubes sitting on our, what's going to be our pad site. This pad site's about 100 by 60 that I had him level out with the dozer. And then I just had him scoot these containers together with his dozer because I don't have a piece of equipment big enough to move them. I believe his dozer was about 100 horsepower. And it struggled to move these because they kept flying down into the dirt. These containers did have some things in them, so they weren't completely full, but they did probably have several thousand pounds of stuff in them. I'm sorry about the wind noise right now, probably. So looking at how this shop's going to be designed here, in between them, I have them 40 feet apart, and so it's going to be a 40 by 80 concrete slab in the middle here. Then I'm going to probably do about 5 inches thick with rebar that's going to come right up to the bottom of the containers. So I want the slab to come up to right at this area right here, because I'm going to cut this out, the wall out, and be able to walk right into these containers on either side to have kind of an extra storage area and be able to roll things in and out. Next things I need to do for this is to get these containers leveled, which I'll do with some jacks and blocks, and I'll get them all leveled. And once I get them leveled where I want them, I'll put auger out some posts into the ground with some 2 3/8 inch pipe, and then concrete those in and weld these containers to those posts. And then I'll weld the rebar in between the two and make a rebar grid pattern in the middle for the concrete to pour into. And eventually what I would like to do is have 4 more containers stacked on top. So these containers will be it'll be too high. There'll be another container up top here, which I'll probably do just a regular 40-foot container rather than a high cube to make it a little bit easier for, I have a gentleman here in town who has a wrecker service, and one of his wreckers has a big crane on it, and he says he can probably be able to lift containers up. So we're going to see how that goes, and I just need to get 4 more regular containers. And then the plan after that is to have a roof go between the two, and I'm going to make an A-frame roof go up like this, and I'm going to make it out of these trusses that I purchased at an auction at a really great price. I'm going to weld those together and make an A-frame truss out of them, and I've got enough to make 10 trusses that are going to be about 60 feet wide. And then on either side I'll have it overhang and kind of make a lean-to sort of structure, like it'll overhang, you know, at an angle so that I can pull vehicles up in or have work areas outside on either side of the containers. And since it's going to be 2 levels high, there'll be a second story to the shop, so I'll put a mezzanine in there with a staircase going up so that I can access the containers on top, and that'll be for light duty storage of just things that can be hand carried up.